Hey everyone, I'm here today to talk about this fantastic little instrument that I've got here. It's been lent to me by Casio. It's their new hybrid digital grand piano and it's called a Celviano. And I have to say I'm incredibly impressed. I'm really interested in the whole concept of hybrid pianos and I wanted to look a bit more deeply into them and explore them. And so to be given the opportunity to actually have one in my studio for a while, to teach with, to have my students play, to explore has been really, really fantastic. So for those of you who aren't too familiar, the hybrid piano concept is that part of the limitation of the standard digital pianos is that the action often isn't all that good. They're getting much, much better. And what the hybrid piano does is a little bit like a petrol electric hybrid car. It has a bit of both. So the hybrid pianos tend to have a grand piano action in them, so a full mechanical grand piano action that you would find in an acoustic piano without the strings and the soundboard, pretty much. So you've got literally that combination. So everything that you touch and play is mechanical as per a grand piano, but after that, all the sound reproduction is all digital. So you have that advantage of, well, you've got something that you can practice on that feels and sounds like an acoustic piano, which is really important, obviously. But you've got those advantages of, you can wear headphones while you're practicing. You can have two people at one piano, both with headphones. You can obviously split and layer sounds and explore things like that. But for pure practicality, it doesn't need tuning. You can have a couple of people move it pretty easily, so you don't need to hire in piano movers because that gets expensive too. So you're saving a lot of those long-term costs in a studio and you're not actually giving a lot away. I have a very small studio space here. I've got just enough room for two upright sized pianos. And that's about it. So even if I wanted a grand piano, I actually couldn't actually fit it in my space. So to be able to have an instrument that has a grand piano action in it without the whole space issue and expense of a grand piano makes a whole lot of sense to me. So let me quickly show you this instrument up a little bit closer and then I'll tell you a bit more about it and give you a few demos as well. So here's the instrument itself. Full 88 keys, of course. Interestingly, the control panel is actually really, really helpful. There's a lot of, I've used a lot of other grand pianos and digital hybrids that have some pretty average interfaces. This one's actually really quite well done. You can actually see inside, this has got a lid that opens, so you can see the actual hammer action down in there. Really great music rest. Good size as per a grand piano, which I think is important. And then underneath, I probably don't need to show you, but underneath you've got all your standard connections are over here in the middle. I'm not sure you can see that too well. And you've got your headphone sockets and all that kind of stuff. So remembering that these instruments aren't designed, they're not synthesizers, they haven't got thousands of sounds in them and multi-track recorders and stuff. It's not the point of them. The point is that they can replicate a grand piano and give you a few extra features that would be helpful. So it's got USB connectivity. It's got the ability to layer and mix sounds together while you're playing. And I'm going to show you a pretty cool play-along concert feature that it's got too, which is great. So the background to this is that Casio, of course, when the hybrid started coming out, Casio stayed pretty quiet. And we didn't really hear much from them until this came out, which certainly I first found out about it would have been this year at a conference when I first got the chance to play it, and I really enjoyed it. The thing about Casio, of course, is that they don't make acoustic pianos. They're great at a tech. They make, obviously, lots of synthesizers, calculators, all that kind of stuff. But they don't make acoustic grand pianos. So that's a little bit different to someone like Yamaha, who obviously make both. So what these guys did is they teamed up with Bechstein in Germany, the German piano manufacturer, to team up to create this instrument. So you've kind of got the best of both worlds. You've got a top-notch manufacturer of acoustic pianos who have given their seal of approval and have been instrumental, pardon the pun, to the design of this instrument, and you've got the digital capability of a company like Casio too. So if you're at all sort of concerned, well, hey, Casio don't make acoustic grand pianos, so how the hell would they know how to do this? Well, they didn't. I think they kind of put up their hand and said, you know, we need to partner with a company who knows acoustic pianos inside and out, and that's what they did. So what you do find in here is that they've sampled 3 9-foot concert grand pianos as their primary sounds. There's about 30 sounds in it altogether, but the 3 primary instruments are the C Bechstein piano, so it's a 9-foot concert grand. They call it Berlin Grand on here. It sounds like this. Beautiful, kind of warm, nice sound. It's quite nice actually, and I don't really like using that word, but it's not one of my favourites. I prefer a bit of a bigger sound, and so they've actually got a 9-foot concert Steinway sampled in here. It's got a bigger bottom end, and it's a bit brighter. It's a bit pingier to me as well. I do like that. And the ability to play piano as well is you know, it's pretty unsurpassed in a digital instrument. I really enjoy the amount of dynamic contrast you can get. They've also sampled in a 9-foot Bosendorfer, so they call it the Vienna Grand here. Bit of a combination between the two. I quite like the sound of a Bosendorfer. I've only ever played one real one once, you know, I'm not a acoustic piano expert by any means. And in actual fact, there's one other instrument in here that I really like, and it's actually just called the Modern Grand Piano. And it's got a big bright sound. I don't know exactly what they've sampled, but it's very bright, and my usual acoustic piano is quite bright, which is probably why I like it. I know a lot of people wouldn't like that, and it hasn't got the nuance and dynamic capability of some of the other instruments, but it's kind of fun to play for pop and modern music. So they're the 3 key instruments in there. So let's go through just a couple of the features too that I really like. Obviously, you can layer sounds together and split the keyboard. That's quite common. But in this one, you can split and then layer the halves as well. So you could have up to 3 or 4 sounds playing at once. So if I just hit layer now, and I'll just... So I've layered the modern grand piano, that nice bright piano in the right hand, with with an acoustic bass here. So this is good. If you're doing some kind of jazz stuff, I like playing along. If students on the other piano here playing a 12-bar blues or something, to just put a walking bass line on and split the piano can be really good fun. Then I can just comp with the right hand. Around with the left hand doing a walking bass. You could also then add, so we could layer the right hand. So now we've got strings, piano, and an acoustic bass, but you know, maybe that's not quite what I want, so we could change that. You know, there's heaps of opportunity to muck around with all the different settings of this, which is why I really like it. And you can just have a straight layer as well. So this is modern piano and strings. Nice, thick, rich, great for students who might be doing sort of film music composing, just to add that sense of strings And even as a teacher, playing strings along to a student who's composed a simple chord progression can add that beautiful richness that is otherwise not there. Give me a heart or a thumbs up if you're enjoying this. I can see there's a number of people on live. Hopefully it's helpful. One of the other features which I do love is the concert play. This is pretty cool. So there's 15 acoustic orchestral tracks recorded in here. So it's not MIDI, it's actually orchestras playing. And you get, along with that, a song book effectively to play, and you can play along to an orchestra. So this is, well, you'll recognize it. Try and make out that I can play that particularly well, but wow, how much fun would that be for a student that's actually learning this piece? You can cut the speed down to 80% if a student's just learning something for the first time, and I forgot then that I actually had the layered sound still on, so it did sound a little bit weird. I'd want to turn that off if I was going to do that again. So there's a number of pieces in there. There's arrangements, there's Debussy, Chopin, all sorts of great pieces of music. Good fun, but the quality of sound that comes out of this thing, you probably can't hear it all that well through this little microphone here, but it's pretty phenomenal, I've got to say. Really, really good. Another thing that you can do in here is it can save scenes for you. So if you're... it could be good if you've got a concert of a whole lot of mixed music. There's about 15 scenes preset, and you can set your own. It just is a setting of reverb, sound choice, a variety of those, volume, those kinds of settings that you can just quickly access through here. So, for example, if I go to the ragtime setting, it will sound like this. You get the idea. I don't know how long I'd want to listen to that for. What's another one in here? You've also got, like there's one here called Toccata and Fugue. And interestingly, if you press play when you select any of these scenes, you can hear a little piece of music played in that type. So now I could, and it's all set up with a massively long reverb. I don't know if you can hear that. Who's that? Karina says, thanks for the review, Tim. I've been thinking about buying this Casio, but the sound is still too bright, just like the other Casio Digital, in my opinion. Karina, that grand piano that I played is bright, but I tell you what, the Steinway, this is a warm, rich piano. I wouldn't have any issues with its brightness, in all honesty. So if you've had the chance to play them, maybe explore a few more of the sounds in there. I don't think it's too bright at all, and I quite like bright pianos. So that was the scene. There's the concert play that I showed you before. It's got phenomenal amount of touch control too. You can adjust for all the pedal, any kind of pedal adjustment, lid open, lid shut sounds. It sounds great with headphones. I actually have done most of my practice on this with headphones. I think it sounds great. I think often digital pianos, one of the biggest issues with them is the sound reproduction, and that's why this actually is really good. And I know some of the other manufacturers have huge numbers of speakers and amplifiers in them to try and give that realism to the sound that's coming out of them. I actually really like playing with headphones, a good quality pair of headphones. So I've got these. These are actually studio, the ones that I record my podcasts and things with. It literally, I'd be hard pressed to tell that I wasn't playing a grand piano. They are just really, really good. Now, one of the other things that I think is really important with this instrument in particular is its price point. So there are other hybrids on the market that are phenomenal instruments, but they are also phenomenally expensive. And it might be something that you're considering for your studio. We're all on tight budgets, right? I can't fork out 30 grand for either a hybrid or a real piano. Like, it's just not possible. So what I really love about what Casio have done is they've positioned themselves as an entry-level hybrid piano without taking away any of the features, really, or the touch. Like, it is just phenomenal. What they've priced this at is, so they've got 3 models. This is the GP500, and this is 7,500 Australian dollars. And that's still under the starting price of some of the other models. So this is actually quite price conscious, I guess you'd say. But that's the top of the line. If you go down to the GB400, which is a matte black version, but pretty much otherwise the same, then you can come down to 6,500. And they also have one other model down, which is a GP300, which has 9 fewer sounds. It's still got those 3 key instruments, but 9 fewer other sounds. I don't think it has the scene, but it does have the concert play, I know that. And that's just under $5,000. And for a studio that, perhaps you can't afford a quality acoustic grand piano, then I'd be really questioning, it's going to start getting harder and harder to weigh up, should I buy an acoustic upright piano or should I buy a digital hybrid grand piano? Because, at the $5,000 price point, this is easily comparing with a new upright. In fact, it's cheaper in many cases than a new upright piano. So do look into this, and I would definitely say go and actually play one at your nearest Casio dealer. Okay, so let me just quickly check. Oh, now a lot of the tests that people do particularly for grand pianos is repeated notes, and to be able to play quickly repeated notes. Oh, I've still got, hear that reverb? I've still got that scene on, so let me just get rid of that, because that's not going to help us. So I'm just back to the default now. Now, I'm no repeated note specialist or anything, but I've got, it's a perfectly good action for me. I couldn't possibly repeat notes faster than this thing could allow me. I'm told by the manufacturer that some of the fastest pianists in the world can repeat notes at about 14 notes a second, which I think is about the limit of a grand piano action. This can repeat notes up to about 20 notes per second. And one of the things that people have talked about with regard to this instrument is that Casio have purposefully taken out the escapement bump that you feel on a normal grand piano. So as most of you know, when you push down a normal grand piano key, you'll feel a slight bump just under the key before it hits the bottom, right? And that's to do with the escapement mechanism in the piano. And again, I'm no piano technician. I don't know the exact ins and outs. But what I'm told is that actual bump is a part of the mechanism that allows the note to repeat fast. But what they've been able to do in the Casio is actually, they've taken that out because they've redesigned effectively that part of the mechanism. So it's actually not necessary. Now, if you're a concert specialist and you really feel this is an important thing, then that might be a consideration for you. Personally, I've played upright pianos most of my life. I'm not a concert pianist, and you may well be in the same boat. If you've only played upright pianos, you're not going to be used to that bump anyway. And to be honest, it's not a big thing for me. But I know other people have mentioned it. But Casio have made, with Bechstein, a conscious decision to be able to take that issue out of the playing mechanism. And I just should reiterate, see Bechstein, massive piano manufacturer. They've created this in concert with Casio, so they've made that decision as well. So there's obviously something in that, I think. Important to note too, the full key length, like this, the keys are full wood. It's not sort of wooden-sided plastic, like full wood, full length of a concert grand piano key with the same pivot points, same bushings. Even if you take this apart, you can even see where on a grand piano the keys would tend to kind of bend around structures. that hold the piano together, that's all there. And the full action is all, it's there. You can actually see it moving down here. The hammers obviously don't hit anything and they haven't got felt on them, and they're plastic, but they're weighted. So the lower hammers are heavier than the upper hammers, and like everything's been thought of. You know, as I say again, I'm no specialist in this, but for me and my playing ability and my students, we have totally loved this instrument, and they regularly choose this over any. I've got other digitals and acoustic pianos. They regularly choose this one. I hope that's been helpful. Please feel free to share this video. If you've got any questions before I wrap up, please feel free to ask them below. And let me know, have you tried a hybrid piano before? There's a few of them out there now, and I have a feeling that one of our other big keyboard and piano manufacturers are just about to bring out another one. Hopefully I'll be able to do a review of that one as well. If you've got any questions, or if you've had any experience with hybrid grand pianos, then do let me know. And as I say, really great work by Casio. I think it's a really top-notch instrument. I enjoy playing it. I do a lot of my practice on it while I've got it. And hopefully you'll enjoy exploring it. So I'm sure you'll be able to find, wherever you are in the world, your local dealer that will stock these. Please go and have a play with them. Try them out, see what you think. That's what I'm all about when it comes to any suggestions that I have for piano teachers. Try things out in your studio, see what you think of them. I'm certainly not telling you to ditch acoustic pianos, but really, I would be really interested if many teachers could, in a blind testing, tell the difference in sound between some of these hybrids that are coming out now and a real acoustic piano. And I'm getting more and more certain that even some of the top-notch concert pianists would have trouble being able to tell a difference in the actions as well. Like, the technology is catching up, and so I would say to anyone who's watching, if you're a staunch must have an acoustic piano and my students must play an acoustic piano, I really think in the next 5 to 10 years you'll need to reconsider that because of the way technology is moving, and this is one of those examples. So please share this. If you've enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up or a heart. I hope that's been helpful for you. And if you've got any questions, feel free to ask me. Whether you're watching this live or the replay, you can always ask a comment. I'll be more than happy to respond when I can. Thanks everyone. I'll see you again really, really soon.